Hello everyone, I am Jishan Sheikh, Assistant Professor in IT/ICT Department of LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So in this video of Node.js, I will explain you the example of networking with Node.js. So in the previous video of networking, I already explained what are the classes and methods are used to network programming Node.js. So let's start today's session example with Node.js. So when we are talking about the Node.js practical implementation, so first we require module. That module is network module, NET. So let's start demonstration of. So here I'm creating one program that is for server. So here I'm declaring first line for importing our module, that is networking. That's why I'm writing where net is equal to require net. Now second, so how can we identify that server is created or server is exist or not? So for that we have to create server here, okay, that is available in our networking APIs. So that's why we are writing here net dot server. So net variable is available, that is importing from our net package. So net dot create server. So this is the very simple example. Okay, in the later part we will see what are the callbacks can be used here. So here server variable contains an object that initiate that we have created one server here. Okay, now if we are talking about that, if we want to listen anything, if any client is requesting, so how the server is listen that? So for that server listening we have to use the listen method of your server class. So listen method having minimum one parameter is that parameter is all about the port number. If you are not assigning IP address, that by default it will be considered as a local host, or you can say that it is a 127.0.0.1, that is your loopback address. Okay, so here I'm writing that server dot listen, and one minimum parameter is my port number. So in this port number your client will request. Now here we are putting one function here, callback function. In this function is we are just telling that server is listening on this particular port. Okay, so let's check how we can say that our server is successfully created or not. Okay, so I'm opening my console. Okay, I'm creating my particular program. So node server node demo.js, that is my code. So I'm okay, so you can see here server is listening on port number 6789, that is my particular output that is created here. Okay, so this is the basic program. Now how we can exactly know on the network side if any client is requested, then it is available, our server is available or not, because we are right now run our code in our console. So for that we are just added one more line here for our code. So if server is available, okay, then we want to create one connection. Okay, so for that we are using on method. So server dot on, here first parameter is connection and the second parameter is our function. So here function is telling that new client connection is made. So before that going to, we are cross checked our server code in the telnet. Okay, so for telnet you have to just open your telnet program in your Windows, then search for telnet. Okay, if it is not available by default, then you have to just click on checkbox and that telnet service will be on. After that you have to open the telnet. Okay, now how can you check that your program is available on the network or not? So for that you have to just use O. O is telling that open the connection. Okay, after O you are passing your IP address. For example, right now I'm using localhost. Okay, and then space I will pass my port number, that is my 6789. Okay, but before that your server must be on the on mode. So here you can see here your server is listening on port number 6789. So my server code is right now working mode. So in the telnet I am writing O, that is telling that this port number is open or not. So when I'm connecting, that is connecting to the local host. So you can see our code is right now connected to our particular local host. If it is not available, then it will saying that your particular server is not available. Okay, so this is the basic tracing of how can we check our local host is available or not on the server side using telnet. Now we are moving to the program that is available for our server, client. Okay, so this is the basic function using that we are telling that our code is available or not. So now I am explaining the code which is available for both client and server side. Client is also telling that I am connected with server, and server is also responding for the connection. So for that I have made some changes in my code of server code. So you can see here. So here first line is variable net is equal to require net package. Now the second line is that I am creating one server, that is a create server. Now if you want to communicate with client, then we must create one socket. Okay, so for that the function in the parameter we are passing socket. Now here we are printing that console.log connected socket.remote address. So using that we are finding the remote address of the machine, and as well as we are finding the remote port number. So this is the very simple code in that we have just printed what is the remote address and what is the remote port number of the machine. But for that we must require one object, that object having our particular socket class. Now in the last line we are ending our particular socket and telling that socket.end hello from node server. Now in the next line, if any error is occurring, okay, for that error handling mechanism code is available. So here server.on and we are passing error. So in the previous code we are using connection. Okay, so we can use multiple variant of our on method. Multiple constructors are available. So here error, if the error is there, then we are using function error. Yes, if error.code is equal to address in use, this is the specific error if we are finding. Okay, then our error will be port is already in use. So this is the code for error handling if our port number is already used by other program. Okay, and in the last we are passing the particular function. That function is telling that server.listen in the parameter is 6789, that is my port number, and the function is node server is started. So it is basically a very similar code, but in this code we are passing one socket here and we are printing remote address as well as remote port number. Now we are moving to the client code here. So if we are talking about the client code, first line is our variable net is equal to require net package. Okay, now here client is connected using connect method. Okay, so there is no other class is available. For that we are using the connect method of our socket. Connect method having minimum 2 parameters, that is all about your port number and IP address. So here in the connect method we are passing 2 parameter, port number and local host, and third parameter is all about our function, callback function, and that is message will be printed here, connection established. Okay, so if our machine is finding the local host and that server is available with this port number, then this method is this function is called, and message is connection established. In the last, if any connection is not established, for example a particular port number is not available, okay, at that time if any error will be there, then error handling mechanism will be handled by our client dot on error code. So here we are passing that error code is equal to connection refused. If server is not accepting this particular request, then we are passing this particular error, and console.error will be server is used different port. This is our message. So our you can see my both the program server node.js and client node.js. Now let's check the output here. So I'm just closing my particular code. I'm ending my previous program, that is CNS. Now node server node.js. Okay, so you can see here message is node server is started. Okay, now for running the client code, please open the second console, and here we are running the code node client node.js. Okay, so here connection is established and no other data is available, and you can see also here at the server side connected, and we are finding the port, basically our remote address and port number. Okay, so FFFF 127.0.0.1 and 53758. So we are getting the remote, that means server is finding the IP address and port number of your client using the remote address and remote port particular property. So this is the basic use of our client and server code. So if we are talking about the specific code here, you can see again, if I change anything, and let's check any exception is occurring or not. So just I will change what I am using the port number 6789, instead of that I am using 689, and let's check what is the changes. Then there is no I am making no change in my server code, so server is already available. Okay, now I am running node with client code. Okay, so you can see instead of error, instead of terminating my code, okay, here server is used different port. I am getting the error that is handled by my program. You can see here. Okay, if I am passing which port number here, 689, whereas server is using which port number, that is 6789. So here port number is mismatched. That's why we are not getting the connection here. Okay, so error will be through, and this message is printed, server is used different port. Okay, so you can see our error code is also working here. So this is the basic program of simple client and server connection. So the same way we can use the TCP connection. This is also example of TCP connection. So let's move to this code, TCP server and TCP client. So here we are trying to fetch the data from client and server. Okay, so this is my server code. Okay, so for server we are writing here require net package. So first line is my create server. Okay, socket.write echo server. So we are not implementing here echo.write server. Okay, now socket.on method is using the concept of data. We are passing the data here. Okay, both the side, and console.log here data.toString UTF-8. So what happened exactly I am explaining. Okay, and in the last we are seeing that it is use the close method, and that is telling that connection is closed. In the last you can see that our particular method is listen method is telling that TCP server is started. So this is the simple code of our TCP server, in which we are establishing the one connection, creating the server, and we are sending the data. Okay, so what happened exactly when we are trying to send the data? At that time we have to require some format, standard format. Okay, so that format standard is not supported by our stream. That's why we have to convert into the toString, and we have to define the particular type. So here standard type is our UTF-8. So our data will be printed into the string. Now we are moving to the client program. So you can see the first line is importing the package. The second line is we are creating one socket. Okay. Now third line is all about the connection. So client.connect. In the connect, first parameter is port number, second parameter is all about your IP address, or we can see you can write here localhost also. Now third parameter is all about the function what we have to print. So here function, simply I am writing console.log connected. Okay, then client is writing hello server. Okay, this method will be written by our client. This data will be printed by send it to particular server face. Now what the data is sended by the server, that is received by our data portion, okay, function data, and we are just print that data. And the last we are destroying the client. So after the server's response, our client is ended. In the last we are closing the function. So this is the very simple function. Okay, so basically when you are trying to understand client server program, at that time you have to understand only 4 basic methods. First you have to create the connection, second you have to connect that code, third you have to write the data, okay, and fourth one is all about the socket. Minimum parameter is your port number, your IP address, and callback function. Function is telling all about the what exactly performing when you are executed. Okay, so let's execute both the code. Okay. Already my code is executed here. Okay, so node TCP server.js. So my TCP server is started, you can see here. Okay, now node TCP client.js. Okay, so you can see after connection with your server, my client is immediately terminated. That's why it is coming to the console. Again, connected, received server, and connection is closed. Okay, so data which are written by the server, it is received by the particular client. Okay, and now you can check what the server is getting. So TCP server started, that the initial message, and hello server love client, that message is sent by our client. So we are just cross checking again. In the server what we are write hello only server. Okay, that data will be sent to the particular our client. Okay, so using the toString UTF-8 parameter, we are sended that data. Okay, and the client side you can see here, initially our connected method is that, and hello server love client will be sent to our server, and what the data is server is sent, it is printed here after the received message. So let's check here. So here connect, this is our client code. Connected method is connected message is come first, then data is received from the server, that data is server, and the last connection is closed. When we are running our server code, then initially TCP server started is printed, and that this message is received by the server from the client. So this is the basic concept of our TCP client and server. So in the next video I will explain you how the UDP client server communication is working. So thank you for watching this video.